Okay, time to get started, folks, in a minute or two. This is Krishna Vedula from Indo Universal Collaboration for Engineering Education. I just put up a slide about next year's award. Yeah, today's speaker is the awardee for this year, and next year's award is details are up there. In fact, it's in the QR code. It's the QR code. So you just want to, if you need some details, just capture the QR code and hopefully spread the word. I'll bring this up again later on at the end of the webinar, so that again, when more people are present, we will have a little more publicity for this, and maybe Hans might even speak about it at the end. So I just wanted to make sure that we had this in the beginning, and we'll just wait for another minute or two and get started with our speaker for today.
Wonderful to see our friend from Vincent from Kampala, Uganda. Wonderful.
Good afternoon, Hans.
Funso is here. Yeah, Funso. Oh, hi, Funso.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, long time no see, Funso, my friend.
Are you in Germany?
Yes, I'm still in Germany.
Yeah, we've got to connect, my brother, maybe next week.
All right, no problem.
Good to hear you. I hope you're well. We'll speak in German, okay?
Very staying. Hey.
Okay, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody from different parts of the world. Once again, I want put this up at the end of the webinar today. I just wanted to put up there and then introduce our speaker for today. And now I will stop sharing my screen, Nathalie Lavoine, and I will say a few words. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nathalie. Our talk today is by Nathalie Lavoine, Assistant Professor at North Carolina State University. She will be talking to us about the coupling of engineering thought and action with an entrepreneurial mindset for educating students in sustainable packaging innovation. Without much more ado, the abstract has been sent to you, and I'm sure you will get all the details during the talk itself. Dr. Nathalie Lavoine is the 2022 Global Quanser Sustainability Award recipient. Since 2018, she has been an assistant professor in the Department of Forest Biomaterials at North Carolina State University. And a link has been sent to you with all the details of her background. So I would not want to take away any valuable time from her presentation, and I will let her get started. Over to you, Nathalie.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet right now. Thank you for joining us online and attending this presentation. So as mentioned, my name is Nathalie Lavoine, and I work at NC State University in North Carolina, Raleigh in the United States. So I'm gonna guide you through a new course that I have developed in our Department of Forest Biomaterials at NC State University that deals with packaging engineering. And you may know all about the environmental concern around packaging waste, packaging littering in our environment, ocean, and so on. So the idea here was not only to train our students the engineering skills and technical knowledge that they had to know to become a packaging engineer, but also to raise awareness on those environmental concerns and other aspects of sustainability that I'm gonna briefly discuss in this presentation. So before I get to the topic, I just would like to introduce you a little bit to our department. So we are part of the College of Natural Resources, and we are located, as you can see here, on the I'm gonna just take a laser pointer on the East Coast of the United States. So we do have 2 undergraduate programs, and it's a very niche area of engineering. One is called Paper Science and Engineering, and the other one is a non-engineering degree, but much more focused on sustainable materials and technology. We also have 4 graduate programs that include distance education for a master degree, a master thesis degree, and a non-thesis degree, and a PhD program. Our department is approximately 20 full-time teaching and research faculty. And we also host, perhaps you have heard about it, the open source journal called Bioresources. We have also a specific component, which is called Wood Product Extension Specialist. They deal with industry and try to help them with wood product concern issues and challenges. And we can cite here timber, cross-laminated timber, and other wood products. In terms of research, even though we focus a lot on wood, plant, and plant-based biomass in general, you can see here on the right the diversity of topic and how broad our spectrum is in terms of research. We go for traditional paper, packaging, and tissue product research to new materials, bioenergy, and we focus also on recycling, LCS, or life cycle analysis, and economics behind environmental life cycle analysis to help tackle sustainability challenge that we are all focusing on these days. So why sustainability, and where do we stand here at NC State? Well, NC State, if you look at their website, they have a very strong sustainability strategic plan. They have sustainable goals all over the campus. They promote and foster students to take part into different sustainability actions and projects all over the area. But our department as well is indirectly linked to sustainability. Of course, we work with wood products, right? And we care a lot about forest management. We do not kill forests while making paper, and that is a very important statement that I want to reinforce. We are not the primary industry that is affecting our forests in the wrong way, right? However, we collaborate a lot with forest engineers, and we have a department that actually deals with forest resources and management, and we work collaboratively together to kind of tackle these issues with forest management and environment. So our paper science and engineering degree is, yes, training our next generation of students on becoming paper engineers. They are the one who are gonna offer you these very soft toilet papers that you use in your bathroom, or those nice absorbent kitchen towels that you have. You can also think about your Amazon boxes that are made fully of recyclable materials. So we do have a great amount of skills and technical skill set that we are sharing with our students, and we have 100% of our students before even graduation who has a job after receiving this degree. So we train our students to readily enter this workforce, right, as a next generation of engineers in the pulp and paper industry, packaging industry as well. We have made some changes in our curriculum to really pinpoint sustainability challenges and issues. We want the student to know about it, not to take it for granted, not to say, oh, because we work with wood, we are sustainable. That's not simply true, right? There is a lot to do and a lot to keep doing and changing to make the whole loop, the whole supply chain sustainable. So we have included courses on environmental life cycle analysis, on green chemistry as well, because making paper involves using a lot of chemistry and a lot of water. So how can we reduce water consumption, water supplies? How can we make sure that the chemistry we use to bring those properties to our paper products are green and are not gonna be toxic to our waters and environment? But the question was it enough, right? When you look at what is going on today, right, we need to adapt our pedagogy to today's, but mostly tomorrow's need as well, right? And this means creating value in product development, in public education and behavior, and in businesses as well, right? Profit is still one of the ultimate goal of companies. So sustainability also fits into this landscape. So when I say creating value is like, can we change this picture, right? Can we develop packaging products that are not gonna remain on the surface and in our oceans and just pollute our landscape, pollute our wildlife and human people all over the place, right? We want to change that. We want also to educate people and make sure that they know what to do with their coffee cup, right? You cannot recycle a coffee cup, even though you have a paper layer at the external, at the outside of your cup, right? It's coated, it's recovered with a plastic-based liner, which makes its recycling impossible right now. We need also to make sure that the general society, but students and everyone here knows and can recognize a styrofoam, for instance, from a plastic bottles, that understand that if you throw that away in our landscape, they are gonna take hundreds plus years to degrade, right? And we will not even see in our own lifetime the impact of this degradation. So it's important to educate students on what is sustainability, but not using it as just a buzzword. We want them to connect to the real world, to be curious about what the challenges are, what do the stakeholders want, and how can they help. So we teach in our program the technical engineering skills and related business skills that will make our engineers the best one, you know, in our specialized industry. But ultimately, I felt that we needed to adjust a little bit our approach to empower them, get more curious, connect with real life scenarios, society and industry needs and demand, and mostly broaden their perception so that they can create value in sustainability. So it's sustainability and innovation to tackle real needs. And this is what I have tried to convey and to instill through this new course that I have developed. So my whole pedagogy really rely and is based on this KEEN framework that you may have heard of. So the KEEN Entrepreneurial and Engineering Network is here to really provide the main foundation and the main pillars to develop and improve your teaching and your activities in classroom activities, right? And they relies on what we call the 6 C's, which is curiosity, connection, creating value, character, communication, and collaboration. So if you look at these skills that are put under entrepreneurial mindset when it comes to curiosity, connection, and creating value, you can combine them with engineering skill set, engineering think and do, which is actually the philosophy of NC State University, right? And if you help students to collaborate, to communicate properly, and to make sure that they rely on characters, they actually can create more, innovate more, and you will see it boost educational outcomes. So this framework is what I have been using to develop my course to the next level, right? And feel free to look on the website. The KEEN framework is also linked to this platform, which is free, engineeringunleashed.com, and they will guide you through those concepts and propose you and suggest very simple but clear in-class activities to help students to be more curious, to connect, to create value, etc. My challenge here was like, how can I do that while teaching sustainability, while developing method that they will be able to apply to use in their whole career after graduation that relate to sustainability improvement, enhancement, and education. So my class here is called Paper Science Engineering 370. The name is Pulp and Paper Products and Market. And I have applied those 6 C's in different ways within this class. So it's a new undergraduate level class of our paper science program that welcomes every spring semester junior and senior students, so third and fourth year students at the undergraduate program. It's approximately 44 students. Every week we have 2 50-minute lectures and 2.5 hours of hands-on project, where the class actually is split in half to accommodate the teaching, but also to make sure they all have a computer available, because this hands-on project rely on the use of computer, and you will understand soon why and how. So the overall goal of this class when I studied was to increase the students' understanding on major growth factor in the pulp and paper industry. Our program so far had really focused on, like, you take the wood, you remove the bark, you treat the pulp, and you make paper. That's great. We all like paper and different aspects of it. But there are other products, other things that can do with wood, with plant, with agricultural crops, residue, and so on. One of them being packaging. It's part of our everyday life. We cannot live without packaging, even though we try to reduce its amount. And another category is tissue product. And when I say tissue, I will refer to facial tissues, toilet paper, kitchen towels, etc. So the lecture here, content for this spring, actually 2023, were divided as follows. This year I decided to really have a first module that focused on sustainability. I wanted really to put the name out there. I didn't want the student to say, hey, yeah, we are working with packaging from wood, that's sustainable. No, I tried to really raise their awareness on the economics, the social aspect, and the environmental aspect of sustainability. Then there was a more technical models on packaging, different types of packaging. So you think about your Amazon box, it will be a corrugated packaging versus the box that you will have for your cereals, or nice box for perfume, or a chocolate that would be what we call folded packaging. Another module more on tissues and towels. And then a category, which is a very niche category of specialty papers. So here you can think about your parchment paper for baking, or those wax paper that you use in fast food to wrap your burgers, for instance. So the lecture here were given to bring technical content, background, engineering skills that students must have as a future engineer, right? But to engage the students in reflection, brainstorming, increase their curiosity and connection to those different products, right? I have initiated different in-class activities to develop collaboration and team project as well. So an example here for the lecture was this first model on sustainability. I start with asking them, what is sustainability? So you make them think individually, then you can in class make them share, prepare, or per group here of 4 to 5, and brainstorm idea, key term that they think sustainability means. What is important is always to ask them to illustrate by examples. They can draw, they can sketch, they can take pictures, they can relate to their everyday life. It's important that they connect to example. Then what I have done is a bit of a flipped classroom approach, but in class, I have made them watch a video that really explain the basic on sustainability. And after that, I make them regroup again and we discuss and we evaluate what they thought sustainability was, but how they could, with this new information, adapt, adjust their thinking process. So I do a lot of little in-class activity like this. It will be self-reflection, like a 1-minute paper. I ask a question and I give them 1 minute to take notes. It can be a think per share activity where, again, you give a question, you make them watch a video. They have to think about it, think about a question here, and then group with their neighbor and share and discuss, each other viewpoint. And of course, a lot of group discussion activity. So it's very important to engage this curiosity and ask them nice reflection prompt. So for instance, what prior knowledge did they have on the topic? And this is what I try to do with sustainability. and how did their thinking change after watching the video and getting this new information. Those activities don't need to be graded necessarily. You can, but it's the main purpose is inside the students to work together, ask themselves questions, raise questions, and rely on what they know, and also show an flexibility in the thinking process to explore new perspective and eventually apply it later in class. Other activities that I do is critical reading and analysis of video, magazine articles, or research papers. And it's very important for new concept that they are able to state, explain, exemplify, and illustrate those concepts, right? To make sure that they fully assimilate it and are able to explain it to someone else. So an example of critical reading and analysis was, for instance, here, I gave them an article to read at home on sustainable packaging. It was really linked directly to the topic of sustainability and packaging. I also do that with some more technical research papers, more on engineering focus. But here the idea was for them to understand a little bit what other author, other researcher think of the topic. So I give them that, and once back in class, they have a home assignment, and you can see here that I give them 2 questions. The first part of the question is really like making sure that they have read the article, that they understand what the article and the author is saying, and how from their understanding they can develop it further to the next step. And the purpose also of this critical reading was to introduce them new tools that they may be able to use in the project, the lab project that I'm going to discuss next. And here the idea was for them to understand the concept of SWOT matrix, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat, to reflect on the value proposition of a product and materials. And here you can see that as part of the home assignment, I show them example to really understand how to make a thought and how this can be useful for them to identify market needs, where they can and how they can create value, what are the opportunities, but eventual threat that can impact sustainability overall. So the biggest challenge with those lectures is that what I have seen is that students are struggling to apply the knowledge I get and receive from the class, the lecture in class, to the hands-on lab project that is a 2.5 hour a week, right? This lab project is actually 50% of the final grade, and I will come back later on the rubric, but it's very important, and I found that challenging for them to really do this translation and bridge the lecture to the project. So all those lectures, they are being evaluated and assessed through quizzes, so no-brainer question, but also some problem-solving open-ended question to gauge the thinking process of the student. And then you have those home assignment on papers that are being included in the in-class grade. So, but the most important part of this project, or this overall course, I would say, is the lab portion of it. So it's a hands-on problem-based learning lab that really asks for the students to use everything they know and beyond that to create value in sustainability. So the labs this year were given on Tuesday. So, and I shared this pager with them. The idea and the overall goal is to design a sustainable corrugated packaging that meet market needs and demands. And the biggest part of the lab here is that I have partnered with an industry that is expert in packaging, and they are helping me guide and mentor the students in the process of product development and innovation. So there are several objectives here, but the whole idea is that they are gonna work as a team all over the semester. They first learn the basic of how using a computer-aided design software to prototype their product. And then they are gonna have to define their problem. What is it they want to to solve what is the problem they want to tackle and why is it important to solve it. So they are going to have to do and go through a market study, interact with customers and so on. And their project will be mentored by industrial designers. So each team is assigned a mentor from the company, and they meet weekly or bi-weekly to make sure that they remain on track. It's important to have this link between the lab project and the real life project, right? What you do in the lab and what you prototype in the lab may not be easily and readily manufactured and produced in the industry, meaning that the designer is here to tell them, well, if you do your packaging like that, you are gonna accumulate a lot of waste, of paperboard waste. That's not gonna work. Or our machine are not gonna be able to develop your or cut your prototype the way you want. So it's important here to have expert on the other side, I would say, of the project to help them bridge gaps between the classroom environment and the industry. And the students here, well, it's a very challenging project. They have to wear several hats because they are customers, consumers, but they will have to learn how to be the designers, the engineers, and even the business owners. So taking those different hats is always, being able to adjust your thinking process, your language to the audience, and make sure that you can connect all of those different speeches and ideas to ultimately converge to a solution. So what I would recommend really for this project, when you want to create value in sustainability and innovate in this area, is to partner with stakeholders. And in my case, I partner with DS Smith's corrugated packaging, which is a global industry and leader in corrugated packaging. It's an industry that is interested in hiring our students after graduation, but as a packaging industry, they also have their own sustainability goals and milestones to achieve. Now it's every industry in the packaging field will list their milestone for 2025, 2030, and beyond. So they are very much interested in developing sustainable product, right? They want to get more ideas and they want to connect with the newest generation to come because they are going to be the next consumer and customers. So that's the best collaboration you can do to really help students grow and understand who they can become and what they can do after graduation, but also to make them realize that what they are doing in the lab, in the classroom, is not useless. There is a real meaning, a real intent here. The industry enjoy also educating students. They enjoy inspiring the workforce. They want the student to join them after graduation. They want to hire them. They want to get new ideas because as a designer in a company, you have been doing the same thing over the past 20 years. Having fresh eyes on a problem is also very valuable. The industry is expert, right, in their topics, so that can really help students connect with real world situation, translate their idea to a large scale setup and create value to meet defined social demands. They provide other different perspective on the problem because they have been there, right? They have been through the whole design, implementation, product development process. Students are new to it. So guiding them also will help them develop new ideas. And they are a source of inspiration to students as well, right? So this interaction is really, and collaboration is really key in this project, and it works beautifully for the students and for the industry. So what exactly should the student do during this project? So the phase one is really learning the software to design the product. And here we use a packaging software called Impact 2019, which is actually quite challenging when you have never done that before. So I have a list of tutorials that the student follow to get, at least a basic on that. Then the phase two, which actually is the challenge number one, is making teams of 4 or 5 students. And making team and working as a team is a challenge that we don't always think about. And I'm not even sure whether myself, I have been taught how to work in a team. But I asked them to go through a little series of questions, by pair and by group to understand, if they are on the same page. how, can a group be successful? What can individuals and the group do to wreck the group and to damage the whole process and project, right? So I make sure that they reflect on that, and then with their group, that they define rules, ground rules that will help them communicate, progress, work together over the whole semester. And the phase 3 is another challenge. The challenge number 2 is defining a problem or choosing a problem to solve, but still understanding why they are doing it. And here, that's a very big challenge because most of the time they don't know what to do. And I have tried 2 options about, proposing them a problem or asking them to pick one. The first option is asking the industry partner to share their internal design development brief, meaning that the SMEs had done a lot of market studies and feasibility, and they came up with like 4 design briefs. And here's an example of ice cream. They had a customer who wanted to develop a new sustainable product packaging for ice cream. So the SMEs gave to the student the target market, the customer, the problem to be solved, the big idea, and the value proposition. And that works rather well because the student just had to follow that. But the big challenge here is that giving them the topic as written doesn't empower them to go beyond the product description, meaning that it impedes a bit their creativity. So I did that in spring 2022, but this year we have decided that the industry partner will only give the market segment and channel to the student. So the market segment will be like, do you want e-commerce or fast market consumer goods, right? Do you want a gift pack or plastic replacement? What do you want to do? And then the student had to themselves identify a problem in the chosen segment that can be positively impacted by a new packaging design idea. And that is a very strong open-ended question that also doesn't work with every student or every team. Some teams were very, very creative. I had this year 10 teams, and only 2 of them struggled strongly to find a good product idea that they couldn't fill because I struggled to identify a problem. And I tried, to ask them to refer to their personal experience, to ask and discuss customer, friends, family, and everything. Ultimately, they ended up doing something, but I felt the struggle strongly and being shared over the first few months. So they lost a bit of time in the project. So ultimately, both option 1 and 2 are challenging, right? But option 2 remain one of the most challenging here because there is little to no guidelines. So the outcome in the end remained the same. I noticed that with option 1 and 2, the student team work at the exact same time frame, even though I asked them to go fast in the project development, in the thinking process, and to start the prototyping phase early in time. Regardless of the option, right, they will end up rush at the end of the semester to get the project done. What is important though is like for each option, each team was still mentored the same way and guided by the DSM's designers. So those weekly meetings were also important to make sure that each team remained on track, right? And that was crucial for both projects idea. So what they did after basically defining the problem and was to go through what we call the product development phase. So they were asked to identify and define the problems to solve while keeping in mind sustainability, considering alternative and justify their thinking process and state the value proposition of the product. So they were introduced, the students were introduced to the development process of the industry. They also got to learn the circular design metrics that DSMIS has implemented internally. And that was a great tool and inspiration for the student to really start measuring and quantifying sustainability. Are they using recyclable materials? What is the impact of their prototype on the planet? How much material do they use? Is there any waste created? Do they use renewable resources? What is the recycled content, the carbon footprint, and so on? So they didn't have to necessarily go through in details of those circular metrics, but it inspired a lot of groups to ask themselves where they are at, right? They design something for a purpose, for a goal. What is next, right? So they really got inspired by the company to try to meet those sustainability goals. So every week, the teams basically had also to submit a weekly report to inform me of their progress, if they had any challenges and questions. And during the in-class lab, they were discussing together, going through this design and justification phase. And they had, of course, to come up with the tangible prototypes to test it and to present it at the end of the project of the semester. So in terms of deliverables, we had a midterm oral presentation to get feedback from the class and industry. They have at the end of the semester to submit a final report, a 3-page, very succinct report. And you can see here on the right, the details of the rubric items. So I wanted them to go straight to the point and not to write pages and pages. So that was also a challenge here. And then they had a final presentation, verbal oral presentation in front of a larger audience. So the industry sponsor, but also any faculty, other student, graduate, postdoc, anyone who was available and wanted to know what they did were able to attend those presentations. And of course, the packaging prototype, we wanted them to show us the box, right? So now to illustrate a little bit this project, I'm going to show you 2 examples of successful teams. So the first one is a group of 4 women, Sami, Brianna, Sarah, and Corey. This year in 2023, they did the plant box project. And you can see here with the picture, their very smiley face. I really go beyond expectation. They made themselves a t-shirt to promote the brand of their new company that they call Gift, Go, and Grow. So they define a brand, focus on sustainability. They try to design a logo to get the color that really, attract people and the audience. Their market segment and channel was designing a packaging for e-commerce. So basically, customer will buy it online and sell it online, and as a gift pack. So the idea was to make a box that is gonna be used to gift, to send a gift to someone. What they did was very interesting, is that they did a very thorough market study to identify the problem. They found a company, Bloomscape. They actually also do packaging for plants. And they try to discuss with them about what is their current problem with their packaging products. They also call some other stakeholders to identify the problems, the technical problem related to the box, right? And based on that market study, they were able to identify the essential attributes, the value proposition of their packaging, of their prototype. What do they want to do and what they should go for to make their product new, showing values. And they came up with a great little idea here. You can see here their solution and the testing also of their solution. They tested the different feature to confirm that their solution was actually responding to those problems that were identified. So they did a great job here in really going through the whole product development process, the whole design thinking process, and I will come back on that later. Another example is the ice cream container. So that was a project from last year in 2022. And here, basically, this is the solution that was proposed to the concept design development brief that I showed earlier about the ice cream tub. So this group here, Nali, Bannon, Morgan, and Blaine, they try to tackle the big challenge of doing an ice cream product that is different from what exists in the marketplace. And you already know that ice cream is being fully contained, and most of them in paperboard based containers. So what could be new here? So here they really focused on the design and the opening customer experience, and they tried to design an ice cream truck. You can see it was quite challenging, but they tested it with actually the real product. They tried to be creative with their testing as well. And the idea here was to replace current wax paper and plastic that are being used to contain your ice cream. This solution here is only purely cardboard that has been treated by D.L. Smith to contain water, leak, and so on. And that is fully recyclable. But that was also a great idea with a lot of creativity, and they went also very far with their oral presentation. They tried to give a theme, to give a theme to the team and the product. So that was just 2 examples to show you exactly the outcome of such a lab project. In terms of learning outcomes and assessments, so I list a few learning outcomes, and I'm not gonna go in details there, but I want them to understand the basic, right? So to understand how the raw materials, attributes, and processing impact the end use properties of your target product, all right? So I want them to define, recognize, and explain the manufacturing processing. And all of those learning outcomes 1 and 2 are really assessed through a series of in-class quizzes, make sure that students can remember facts, understand the basic concept of engineering related to packaging, science, and engineering, and able to apply what they know to new situations, solve problem, real world problem, address technical challenges. So that is the outcome number 3. I also work a lot on trying to assess their teamwork, time and project management skills, make sure that they know how to search for data, to raise questions, communicate and explain what they know, and discuss the potential project outcomes, using well-reasoned arguments, making sure that they have enough depth and breadth in their thinking process, in the way they explain things. So all those learning outcomes here, I would like to renew them a little bit more for next years, but they are assessed through in-class quizzes, home assignments, and of course this last session that is 50% of the grade. As you can see here how I split the overall final score of the project. So the sustainable design project is a big component because I spend much more time on that, right? So on the top of that, I also do and share some survey at the beginning, middle, and end of the semester to get an idea on their learning needs, challenges, success, to try to adapt or change some logistic and learning experience if I can during the semester, but also gauge the overall class atmosphere. So I still need to work on that and to develop more assessment to fully measure the impact of this class and pedagogy on the students' learning experience and career opportunities. But usually prior to taking this class, you can see that most of the knowledge is very poor, between 1 to 3, so that the blue to the yellow, eventually green area. You see here that when it comes to packaging design, there is nothing here past the rank 3. It's expected that they have a lot of knowledge on the fiber attributes and market pulps. That was a model I did last year, but it was a reminder from what they have learned over the first 3 years of their undergraduate degree. But when it comes to packaging design, paperboard, packaging, engineering, and converting, the knowledge drastically increased after taking the class, which was the overall idea. On the top of that, I got also direct feedback from students who went after that in internship, and they use, for instance, AutoCAD software for other purposes and packaging engineering. But they were excited about, having got some little element of using a CAD software, even though it was applied to packaging and not another product development type. They were very thrilled and very thankful to have learned and go through the thinking process here of product development from the computer to the real prototype. They also now start thinking a bit more about sustainability from different angle and perspective. So they ask themselves questions. And this is what I wanted to trigger is like, well, you can't retain and remember everything from 6 months, right? Or not even 4 months of semester and class. And it's a very intense and heavy class. But if I'm able to trigger 1 or 2 questions that is gonna drive you in the rest of your undergraduate path and after when you graduate and in your career, I believe I have done my job, because the idea is really to poke them, right? Say, hey, what are you doing right now? Do you think it's sustainable? How important is it? Why do you do it? And why not you would do it? So I'd like to summarize the challenges and opportunities that I had for this class, and that also are gonna be my next challenges to tackle. I think the challenge number 1 is teaching sustainability beyond environmental impact. When we work with paper, paperboard, wood, plant, biomass, we take sustainability and environmental impact for granted, even though we haven't measured it, we haven't put some data, we don't have any evidence of everything we believe in. So it's important here to go beyond that knowledge that we know we believe we have, but also to incorporate some economics and social sustainability aspect. So having a human-centered design is important. And during my whole class here, I try to develop some design thinking process to make them really empathize with the real world, get this brainstorming activity initiated based on empathy, right? The challenge number 2 is really to develop the creativity and innovation process. I'm working with engineers. They follow kind of the books, right? It's like math, 1 + 1 = 2. But what if I wanted to create something which will give me 1 + 1 = 3, right? So, well, that's a completely stretch example. But the idea is like, how can you trigger the creativity and help the student to say, hey, I'd like to tackle this problem. Oh, what if my phone could make coffee tomorrow? So that is something that I found challenging. And I have tried little exercises in class, but somehow I still found some students who I haven't convinced. So that's my personal challenge here. And the challenge number 3 is the time management. Incorporating such a lab component within 4 months is very, very challenging. So to consider. But I have many opportunities to incorporate new class activities, to develop more critical and creative thinking, make sure that I assess more the impact of this project on the students, but also industry partners. And I'm starting to involve other industry to propose in-class case study and make students more connect with the company and understand the sustainability aspect from an industry perspective. So next step for this class, but not necessarily for this class for me, is that I'm going to take this class and develop it to the next level, the graduate level, and do it with a cross-college, basically. I want students from different backgrounds. So students from the College of Design, students from the engineering side, students from management, to work all together to create sustainability, innovation in sustainability. So it will involve teaching modules on sustainable design thinking, human-centered design, packaging engineering, sustainability from environmental perspective, economics, and social. And the idea would be also to do a 1-year class with lecture focus on 1 semester and a full semester to focus on the problem instead of just putting it all in 4 months. So that's my next step regarding teaching sustainability method in engineering and beyond engineering as well to create value. With this, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Of course, a big thanks to the organizing committee of the Global Engineering Dean Council, International Federation of Engineering Education Societies, and the Indo-Universal Collaboration for Engineering Education, and Quanser and the Award Committee for this beautiful recognition and award ceremony that they organized last year in November 2022. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any question you may have.
Wow. Wow. All I can say is wow, Nathalie, what a fantastic presentation, truly deserving of this award. You have touched all the elements of an outstanding teacher, student-centric teaching, which develops all the skills that the world needs in terms of outcomes through design thinking and innovation, entrepreneurship, team skills, etc. Everything. Okay, and I think you're a role model for faculty all over the world, and I hope they will learn from you. Okay, this is really exciting.
Thank
So
you.
so a little time for a few questions for from the audience. And what's particularly exciting about what you've done, Nathalie, is you have taken the concepts of teaching and learning pedagogy, all the best aspects of it, and introduced sustainability in it as a way to implement their learning. And I think that's amazing. So this is fantastic. So let's have a few of the audience. We have time for a few questions and comments from our distinguished audience here. Most of them are outstanding faculty from different parts of the world. And I think this is something that we can all learn from, okay? The email ID is here at the bottom of the slide. So if any of you wants to follow up with questions about how Nathalie has managed to do all this work and how you can learn from her. Okay, come on in, folks.
I have a
Comments,
question.
questions in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself.
Question?
Yeah, Funso, come in, yeah.
Thank you very much, Nathalie. Thank you for that excellent presentation. The question I have is that biomaterials are extensively being researched into now as cementitious materials. Now you convert to paper. If you have a competitive use of biomaterials, how do we ensure sustainability of the material?
So thank you for your question. I want to make sure that I have fully understood what you meant. So you are asking me that because there exists different biomaterials, there is a high competition and this can impede their sustainability. Is that it?
In the yes, the source of the material for use.
Oh, all right. Yes. So the source of materials, right, that you will use will really depend on where you are and what you have access to. So the sustainability here aspect relates really on how you can manage those resources and what you can make best of it. For this class, because we are with the undergraduate level, they are going to become engineers in the pulp and paper industry. The main raw materials is wood pulp, right? But we have seen a lot of packaging product being now used with non-wood fibers, agricultural crops, residue. So company works with local farmers, with local entities to value the resources that they have around and diminish our need of forest, for instance. You have also some part of the world that doesn't have access, right, to wood or all those different products, right, that we use. So the challenge here is like, how can you use your engineering skill that you have with wood and translate it to other resources, right? And that works very well. You can see, for instance, that in China, they will use a lot of recycled products and use also the straw and other agricultural crops, right? Because they don't have necessarily the wood aspect of it. In Africa, we have a faculty who did a project, so I don't remember which country in Africa, but they work with banana leaves to make new packaging and paper substrate that can, bring function and help the society here. So it's very important to ask yourself, who is your audience and what do you have available around? Because you don't want to export this wood product.
Thank you for, did we lose you, Nathalie?
No, I'm here. So I just want to confirm that I have answered the question. I'm not quite sure though.
It's fine. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think Soma has a question.
Yeah, Nathalie, you're back. Okay, good. What a fantastic, so we lost you for a minute there, Nathalie, but I was just thinking that this is an amazing packaging of the teaching and learning process, effective teaching and learning process, as one of our participants have said. Soma, go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Nathalie, of course, I'm familiar with your projects because I was in the award committee. I have a question. What did the students say about their projects and their learning about sustainability?
So what did the students say about it?
Yeah, at the very end of the projects.
Well, so different aspect there. One, the company, for instance, they ask them at some point to replace, those little trays that you have for fruit in the market that are made
Yeah.
of pulp as well. And the question was like, why should I replace a sustainable product by another sustainable product? Like why should I take paper to replace molded pulp products, right? And the thing that I didn't think of is like the carbon dioxide emission, right? They were like, well, the product, it comes from the same raw material, right? But the manufacturing process generates more carbon dioxide emission. So they got confused here, and they basically changed their viewpoint about what is sustainability. It's not only just the raw materials and the final product, right? There is all in between. So the challenge really appreciated to have this journey and the thinking process about, to think differently about sustainability and how they can make an impact with their knowledge, right? They also have, as part of their presentation, criticized actually or critically commented on the NC State bins, that system that they have put for recycling product versus, mixed product versus everything. They're like, well, we don't know what to do. It's like, there's a problem in education. So at the end of the semester, they understood that the education of society and everyone else is not there yet. We need to work on educating more people differently.
Yeah.
They understood that there is a need also to understand the whole supply chain.
Thank you. Can we,
Thank
we need
you.
to move on. Thank you, Soma. Hans, can you make a few comments? Go ahead.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Of course, I'm very inspired by your presentation, Nathalie. Thank you very, very much. And but I need to go on another conference call, but I do just want to make a couple of comments, just following up on Krishna's earlier comments. The Quanser Sustainability Award will again be given this year. It's under the leadership of both Paul Gilbert and Stephanie Farrell. We are working to initiate that. Just want you to be aware of that, and we will celebrate it in Monterey at the conference in October. I want to just put this on our agenda for all of us to please join us this October, again, at our annual meeting. In addition to the Sustainability Award, we have the Duncan Fraser Award and the Diversity Award this year. Again, we've sent out the information to our global community, and we'll be celebrating and the winners and all that again in Monterey. I just want to put this on your radar screen for all of you. Just a couple of other comments, just for you to know, after all the crises that we faced the last few years, I was very happy that we were able to bring our community of Asian deans together just now in Hong Kong. It was great to reconnect with good friends and colleagues that are hopefully they're very interested again to re-engage at a global level outside of Asia and globally. I just wanted to give you those wonderful news. And then finally, we're meeting IFE's GDC community, and some of you who are present here next month in Baltimore in the United States during the ASCE meeting. We have a session there. Our dear colleague Soma will be co-leading it, and others there, and also have a reception dinner and a session on our Rising to the Top book series that Monday on the 26th. So I just want to make those comments. Thank you, Nathalie, for your inspiring work that you're doing, sharing it. And let me leave you, and Krishna, why don't you finalize, please, this conversation?
Thank you, Hans. And again, I just want to end on the note that what Nathalie has shown is not just about a particular course. She has shown the process of being an effective student-centered teaching because of the process that she used, design thinking, and all the skills that are developed. I think this approach is ideal for every field. It's not just about paper and whatever products were kind of covered in this course. Every faculty member should learn from this kind of approach towards design thinking and project-based learning to develop the kinds of skills that the world needs and the graduates of the future. So thank you, Nathalie, for helping us in that direction and giving us ideas as to how to move in that direction. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. And any final words you want to make, Nathalie, before we say bye?
I thank you all for your interesting question and your attendance. And don't hesitate to follow up if you have more in mind. Thank you again for organizing that. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. And we will let you go. Okay. Be happy, be peaceful, be joyful, and wherever you are in different parts of the world. Thank you all for joining.